What is geomorphology? This is the scientific study of landforms and the processes that shape them, especially those of constructional and erosional processes. The size and the shape of the Earth's surface is continuously changing. That is through the tectonic and weathering processes. Therefore, geomorphologists, these are people who study the formation of the landforms and the processes that are associated with them, seek to understand why landscapes look the way they do. They also seek to understand landform history and dynamics and to predict future changes on the land surface. This is done through field observations, experiment, and numerical modeling. The history of geomorphology. During the medieval age, that is between 1066 and 1536, biblical beliefs predominated. That means the earth was believed to have been shaped in 6 days of creation and 40 days of floods. During this period, forces involved in the creation was tremendously violent, surpassing anything experienced in nature, and therefore they were formed in catastrophic manner, hence the catastrophism theory. The proponents of this theory believe that the earth is 6,000 years old. This type of creation theory is what came to be known as catastrophism. Proponents included Baron Georges Cuvier, who lived between 1769 to 1832, and his followers. In the 15th and 16th century, people like Leonardo da Vinci and Palissy contested the catastrophism theory. They recognized that the Earth's surface was slowly shaped by geomorphic activities. For instance, Palissy asserted that springs were fed with rainwater. He was able to explain the hydrological cycle also. Da Vinci, on his part, was also convinced that the river eroded their banks and creating valleys. And from the end of medieval age until 18th century, this period was dominated by academic ventures, and at this point, geomorphology was given a scientific consideration and the problems analyzed scientifically. However, catastrophism was still very strong. Every depression was called a valley, including the Atlantic Ocean, and it was believed that water flowed in the rivers because there were valleys. The distinction between igneous and sedimentary rocks was not clear. Also during this time, the geological timescale was measured in thousands of years. Among the key proponents during this period was James Hutton. However, the catastrophism theory died by 1814 through the two processes. One, it was through the appearance of the concept of uniformitarianism, and also through the rise of glacier theory. When we talk of uniformitarianism, this exact counter-thesis of catastrophism. Here, landforms are said to have been formed by the present-day processes operating slowly over a long period of time. The idea behind uniformitarianism was initiated and established by James Hutton in 1785, but the term was coined by William Whewell to present an alternative explanation for the origin of the Earth. Whewell argued that land surface had been shaped by the slow erosive action of water rather than the catastrophic event. He argued that in history of the Earth, there is no trace of beginning or prospect of an end. Uniformitarianism can therefore be summarized by a dictum which says that the present is the key to the past, and that the processes and natural laws that existed in geological time are basically the same as the ones that are observed in the landscape today. Charles Rell talked of uniformity, which he distinguished as follows. He argued that there were 4 types of uniformity. One is the uniformity of time, which implies that natural laws are constant in time and space. The second uniformity discussed by Charles Rell is uniformity of process. If the past event can be explained as a consequent process we know, now known to be operating, then a non-identical force should not be invoked. The third is uniformity of rates. And in this, he argues that changes that occur on the Earth's surface are usually slow and gradual. And finally, is the uniformity of state, which he argues that changes on the Earth are directionless. That is, the Earth's surface looked and behaved the same way as it does at present. The second theory that led to the demise of catastrophism is the glacial theory. The glacial theory marked the end of catastrophism in this way. Glacial deposits could be found on mountain tops, and it was difficult to explain why deposits were found there. According to Agassiz, the mountain tops that had glacial deposits were once lowland, but because of crustal lifting and most likely folding, the once flatland were raised, and that's how the glacial deposit could be found on top of mountains. Agassiz also proved that the glacial process would also change the land surface just as stream could be. Now, let's look at the methods of analysis used by geomorphologists. Various techniques are used to monitor day-to-day processes of operation and also long-term processes on the Earth's surface. Day-to-day activities which are monitored include downslope movement of debris, measurement of sediment transported along the riverbed, measurement of movement of ice and glaciers. The methods of acquisition for day-to-day activities include either lab experiments or field measurements. For long-term processes, analysis are done using the methods of space-time substitution and also simulation.